All of our programming blocks so far have been triggered in the same way, with the when green flag is clicked trigger. This basically means our blocks of code run immediately, as soon as we run our program. In this lesson we're going to be learning about another type of trigger that can cause things to happen, the use of the computer keyboard. This is known as an input device, as it allows us to put information into the computer. It is these inputs that we can use to trigger blocks of code. Let's start with our cat sprite, who we would like to move across the screen. Normally we would start by adding a when green flag is clicked block as our event trigger. However, we can instead use the when key is pressed trigger. All we do is drag this into our programming area as usual, then drag and drop our move block underneath. Now, instead of the green flag triggering the code and causing it to run, the spacebar will. As you can see, every time the spacebar is pressed, the cat moves forwards. Normally in computer games, the up arrow is used to move a sprite forwards, not the spacebar. Well, this is easy to fix. I simply change the key that is acting as the trigger. Here I'll select the up arrow. Let's add another trigger, this time to cause the cat to turn right. I'll drag my when key is pressed trigger into place and then add the turn right command. It's normal to use the right arrow as the trigger for this, so I'll change the key to right arrow. As you can see, we now have the very basics of an interactive program. When the user presses certain keys, the program acts in a certain way. It's not terribly smooth though. I'd really like my program to respond far more quickly to the trigger, so the cat moves straight away. We can do this using a wait block. Here I have a new Scratch project with an empty programming area. I'm going to set my code up to wait for a key to be pressed and then to move the cat as soon as the trigger happens. Because I want my sprite to begin waiting as soon as the program runs, I'm going to use my usual when green flag is clicked trigger. Below this, I'm going to add a wait until block. Because this is linked to how my programming blocks are controlled, it is found under the control menu. As you can see, this programming block isn't quite complete yet. It's saying wait until something happens, but we haven't yet said what that event will be. What does the program need to be sensing for that will cause the next block of code to run? Under the sensing menu, we can drag the key pressed block and drop it into the wait until block. As you can see, it locks into place. Now the block of code is saying wait until the space key is pressed. As soon as this happens, without delay, the next block of code will immediately run. Let's drag and drop a move block into place and see what happens. As you can see, when the program runs, it waits, sensing for the space key to be pressed. As soon as it is pressed, the next block of code runs, moving the cat forwards. Unfortunately, that's it though. The program then stops running. I'd really like it to do this over and over again. Well, we know we can easily solve that with a forever loop. I'm going to make some space, then drag and drop a forever loop into place. I'll then drag and drop my code inside the loop. As you can see, now when I run my program, it waits, sensing for the space key to be pressed. When it is pressed, the cat moves forward. It then goes round the loop again, waiting for the key to be pressed again. As you can see, we can easily sense for an input from the computer keyboard and use this as a trigger causing other programming blocks to run. We can also easily combine a number of blocks of code like this to create a simple program that allows us to control and move a sprite in a game.